Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through the industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Derick Gant, financial expert, performance coach, author, and speaker with over 30 years of experience. Welcome to the show, Derick.
Hey, welcome. I feel welcome. Thank you, AJ. I love the energy. First thing is ready to go. I'm with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Welcome to India. And Indians are a bit more energetic, especially in moments like this. And especially, a lot of people like to have talk about money, earn money. And I'm also excited about this money part. And especially, money means the prime of your life is when you are in your 20s and early 30s. And that is where we will come to you, Derick. You know a lot about this thing. You have also published the 24,000 life code, the only difference between mediocrity and greatness. So we will
Yes,
put all those things in perspective and try to understand how to build wealth for yourself, especially in your 20s and 30s, and make a life that you want to build for yourself along.
absolutely. I can't wait. I'm excited about it.
Absolutely. The first question itself is, what is the best way to build wealth when you don't have wealth at all?
Yeah, when you
How
don't
do
have when you don't have wealth at all, the best, absolute, unchallenged, undisputed way to build wealth is to find a revenue source that you are great at. Notice I didn't say in love with or passionate about, but that you are great at. Find a skill, a job, a career that you can do really well and that you excel at the highest level. And I say that because you don't have any wealth. That means that you are probably spending every dime that you bring in. And in order to build wealth, you need a spread. So here's your expenses. You don't want your income to be here. You need your income to be here so you can create that gap so that now you have some reserves that you can put away for emergencies. And then you can put some money away for investing and putting in passive income assets and things that make you more money.
right, right, Derek. So let's put a couple of things here. One
Yeah,
is a person starting his his work life or business life or whatever it is early in early 20s,
right.
and that is the time for not only earning money or building your life in terms of looking at what future holds for you. It's
Mhm.
also the time to live your life. Many people think, and especially a lot of young people think the term called
Absolutely.
you only live once. And that is the
Yes,
time. It is everybody passes through that stage.
right.
Nowadays, it may be a bit more in a different context. So, how do you manage that? How do you start working on the savings part? And
Yeah,
the third part is you are also a performance coach. How do
yes.
you keep your performance at a good level so that you don't miss the path of wealth building as well as future
Having,
building
yeah,
yourself? How do you do
exactly.
that?
It's a great question. And I, unfortunately, it doesn't start at 20, but we're going to start at 20 since that's your question. So when you're 20 years old, I'll tell you exactly what I'm doing with my son. He's 26. So his junior year in college, so let's say he was about 19. I said, listen, you know, I want you to start collecting the pure phone numbers and addresses of everybody you meet on campus, not their college email, their real at home Gmail email address. So that was the first thing. The second thing that I did with him, I said, listen, I know that I've managed money for a extremely long time, your entire life. So here's what I want. I'm going to ask you to listen when you graduate. And I told him this 2 years early so it could start to sink in. I want you to start listening to my suggestions. I didn't say do them. I want you to listen to them, see what kind of merit they have, and then go from there. So what we did with him is when he graduated, I told him when he was 20, you should live at home. I want you to live at home and I want you to get a great job. Okay. And when you're at home, I want you to have an account separate from your bills, like your phone and your car and your food and your movies and your life fund that you were talking about, a separate account that you're going to have just for bills. And then I want you to have a separate account that was for fake bills. So if you were living on your own and paying rent, and if you were paying for lights, gas, and electric and utilities, I want you to put that money in that account like you were actually doing it. And we're going to put that money away because one day you're going to want to move out on your own. And now you're used to having those expenses, but I don't want you to really have them. The third thing I want you to do is I want you to put 25% of every dime you make into a side account. Put it into a side account because you cash is king. No matter which way you slice it, the person with the money gets to make the moves, not the person with the investments, not the person with, it's the one with the money. So I want him to save up $100,000 before he's 30 years old. And then we are going to invest every dime above and beyond that into assets for the rest of his life.
Right, right, Derek. You have put it very well, and and that is that you create that habit. You start
Yeah.
building the life from early on itself, the type of life you want to build for yourself. And I also asked about the performance part.
Right.
That is the time you actually. So a lot of people want to learn about high performance, big performance for later on in life,
Right.
maybe as leaders or anything. But what about
Absolutely.
a youngster in the say around 2025? How should they look at the word called performance? How do they live their
Yeah.
life, build their life, as well as perform as good as required so
So
that they can go on to the path of success for
that is a
themselves?
great question. And I will tell you that when people think about performance and they think about the people that we see that are these amazing people that deliver amazing messages or deliver amazing sports abilities or business acumen, and I will promise you, and every young person that's listening to this that is looking to build wealth in their 20s or 30s, or their parents that are looking to help them position themselves, high performance comes from high quality habits. Because you're not just because you're great at something doesn't mean that you're going to deliver it if you decide to do it based on your feelings. If I feel good, I'm going to perform great. But what when you don't feel good? What when you don't feel like reading? When you don't feel like making that extra phone call? But if you set excellent habits, I am going to do these things no matter how I feel, no matter what's going on. I'm not going to go to sleep tonight until I complete my to-do list, the things that I know I'm supposed to do. And that's why high performers accomplish their goals over and over and over again. It's because they've created these habits, not motivation, not inspiration. They've created these habits that are above and beyond the average person's habits in order to deliver high performance on a regular basis. And so back to your original question, creating the habit of always putting 25% away when you're 20 is something that just is part of you. And so when you do that, if you continue to do that, and let's say you're making $30,000 when you're 20, you're making 40,000 when you're 30 and 50,000 and 100,000. And so now you're just used to putting that 25% away, no matter what else you're doing. Now you are living a high performance lifestyle.
Absolutely high performance lifestyle. And you talked about 25% savings. So those are savings. How do you turn them into investments? Where do you invest that money which you have just saved, or you just keep it in your savings account and
Yeah.
that will come handy? How should
Mhm.
they tackle at that point in time? Because again, at the same time, you got a lot of shiny objects around,
Right.
including a lot of shiny advice. How do
Exactly.
you get the right advice for yourself? Who are the people you should trust in terms of money advice?
Well, I think that going through school and life, I'm in my mid 50s. I can honestly say, as an expert money coach and as an expert person that made it to 50, their mid 50s, I would say, first of all, let's take your first part of your question, which is how do they convert that into investing? When you're in your 20s and 30s and you don't have a lot of money, um, we already talked about stacking some money so that you can have money when an opportunity presents itself. The other thing is that I believe very strongly that you have to um, look at the things that you are innately interested in. If you're interested in fashion, then maybe you should be looking at fashion stocks and fashion companies and following the trends, learning the trends, understanding what's cutting edge. Maybe you're into shoes, or maybe you're into, you know, the latest medical devices or AI, or so whatever it is that you're interested in naturally. You should find all of the top players in that industry and start to follow them and track them so that you get a feeling for, well, when things are not good, these things actually do well investment wise, and vice versa. And if you find something in this particular case that you really do like, not like I said with the job, but the job, I want you to be great at a skill. With your investments, I want you to be passionate and interested so that you will follow it, track it. And I suggest that in certain situations, you start investing a very small amount. So I have my son putting $100 a month into exchange traded funds. And we're not going to get into the discussion about exchange traded funds, but let's just suffice to say that they're a stock. They're a bastardized version of a stock and a mutual fund put together. But he can start to learn about trends. He can start to learn about markets. He can start tracking his positions. Meanwhile, the bulk of his money is getting built in cash. He is a real estate agent, so I have him looking at return on investment. We have him looking at how does factoring work, how rents, being a landlord. He's doing some property management. So introducing yourself to things that you're really good at, things that are married to the other things. So maybe you use a special hand lotion because of a skin condition. So you start tracking that and you start to see what companies excel at those things. And then you invest in those. So breaking into investments is about being close to something. A really good one is, hey, my dad works for this company. My dad loves the company. He's worked there forever. They're publicly traded. Let me start buying some stock in my dad's company, because your dad's going to know, you're going to know if he comes home and says some people got laid off, you're going to know if sales are down. And so you can kind of have an inside scoop without it being insider trading, just by paying attention to what's going on in the marketplace.
Right, right. One more thing that you talk about, Derek, is self mastery. What is this self mastery at that point in time? Why I'm asking this is, a lot of time, people think about control.
Right.
Is self mastery about control, about everything about yourself, or controlling everything that happens around you? And
Yeah.
second thing, a lot of people think, okay, self mastery is also controlling how I will live my life and how I will define my day, or my, because there's a song, I'm invincible today.
Right.
Is self mastery only for one day? Is this invincibility only for one day?
Right.
How do I make myself invincible in terms of what I am as an individual, as an authentic person,
Right.
and as well as, I live a life of dignity, of self respect with self mastery? Help us understand this
Yeah.
self mastery part.
Well, I have a weird view of self mastery. And I believe that self mastery, discipline, accountability is freedom. Because when you know, so self mastery is really all about understanding yourself. Meaning, you're going to come on the show, and I had a bad experience before the show. Am I going to come on the show and let the bad experience follow me? Can I master my emotions? Can I decide how I'm going to react, positively or negatively? Am I going to, how do I operate as a person, as a machine, to get the most performance out of my life? So for instance, self-mastery is knowing that I am not a great thinker after like 7, 8 o'clock at night. I'm done, right? I've worked all day. I've been up since 4:30 in the morning. I've worked out. I've done my yoga. I've done my fitness. I've saw clients. I did all the things I need to do. So by 9 o'clock, I'm done. But there's a huge population of people that just wake up at 5 p.m. They're just waking up. I mean, they're just, the AI computer people, they stay up till 2, 3 in the morning. They do their best work when it's quiet and the stars are out. So self-mastery is knowing, when do you perform the best? How do you react to others? How do you react to good news, to bad news? Do you get too high? And when you come down really low. So you're this bipolar person. So self-mastery is about the habits that we talked about before. It's about, listen, I know that myself, if I wake up late, or if I set my alarm clock and I don't wake up when the alarm clock goes off, I'm going to feel like a loser. I'm going to feel like I've already started my day on the downslide. So either I don't set it, or I get up when it starts to ring. And so, it is all about freedom, because when you know yourself, then give you an example. I used to have road rage. You're driving on the street and somebody cuts you off and I'm going to get you, until one day I was clenching down on my teeth and my jaw locked. And so I had to come to a conclusion. Do I want to hurt myself over somebody who cut me off and got mad at me? Or do I want to control myself, not hurt myself by clenching my jaws and racing my blood pressure and sending myself into a tizzy? Do I want to control that? Well, that person at that moment was in control of me. They didn't even know it, but I gave them control. So self-mastery is about you. It's about personal freedom. It's, being Teflon, being bulletproof. And the obvious answer to that is that we are never really there, because we're always changing and growing. We're always learning new things, but we can have a nice baseline of self-control. And it takes an active practice, a lot of journaling, a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation and quiet time, a lot of questions, I use the Socratic method. Why did that make you angry? Okay. Well, now that you're angry, how long are you going to be angry? How are you going to not be angry about that next time? How are you going to diffuse yourself? So, I ask these questions and write them down. Whose problem is it that you're angry? So it takes a lot of work and self-awareness. And if you start this, so I've started my son, as you can tell, I've started my son on this at like 20 years old, and he is almost as good as I am. And it doesn't mean that we don't make mistakes. What it means is that you might be in control of yourself, and you might say, I know if I eat this, it's going to do this to my body, but I'm going to eat it anyway. But at least So at least it doesn't mean you make great decisions every time. It just means that you know what the results are going to be. And now you get to choose if you want to be mediocre or if you want to be great.
Right. So how do you do this self-mastery? You talked about to your son. For a young person, 20s, mid-20s or later 20s, to achieve this self-mastery thing, because many things pull you away at that point in time.
Right.
And you also, it's also the peer group. You can do with a simple phone, but you see that new phone has come in town, or the $3,500 gadget has come in town. How do you manage that sort of impulse at that point in time?
Well, you've asked this question a couple times and I haven't answered you yet. So let me answer you. So we all have our thing. Now, I can tell you honestly, I'm in my mid-50s, as I mentioned, and the shiny phone thing was my thing probably until the 40s. I had to have the latest, greatest technology. And, every time I got it, I would say, okay, well, it's got all these bells and whistles and I'm going to learn how to use them to make me more productive because I'm high performance. And I never did. So I finally learned my lesson that I was just wasting money. So we all have to learn our own lessons as we move through life. Now, if you have someone, what I try to do my best with young people is to help them create a hierarchy of wants and needs. So the first thing we do is, what do you need? And then we move that out of the way. So now we're back to your shiny objects, how you get them to invest and save without wanting to go get that fancy car or that fancy pair of shoes. So what I like to do, again, is go back to the accounts. It's kind of like a reward system. So you have a bill account, you have a fake bill account, you have a savings account, and then you have a short-term spending account. So I try to get the young people to put money into that short-term spending account. And we don't call it a savings account. It is short-term spending. They are going to spend that money probably in the next month, 2 months, 3 months. So once you hierarchy the shiny objects that you want and you put money into this account, you only have so much money in the account. So now you got to pick which one of those shiny objects do you want to buy, and you limit your purchase to whatever money that you set aside in that account, because you already have your 25% put away somewhere else. You have your bill money put away somewhere else. So this is your fun money account, and you can only buy fun things with the money that's in that account. And if it's not in the account, you got to wait. And it teaches them discipline, right? Now you're back to self-mastery. So if they can stick to this plan, then they will be great at what they do in their life across everything, and with their relationships, with their money. Because AJ, you already know this. It's not about just the money. It's about your fitness. It's about the way you treat your spouse. It's about the way you raise your kids. When you have a set standard and you have these rules on yourself, the code, the 24K life code, when you have your own code and you live by your code, then you have amazing performance. If your code doesn't have to be my code. Just live by yours. And if you live by your code, your deal breakers, and you're a good person, we got to add that part, you're going to be amazing. And if you start this in your 20s and 30s.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Derick. And I would not wait till the end, because there is a question somebody's asking. Beth Colhoun Leopold. She asked that, do you recommend actual separate accounts or accounts on paper?
No. We want separate. That's a great question. And we want separate accounts. And we not only have separate accounts, we
Beth Colhoun Leopold, she has asked it. So I'm sure she should be happy if you can address her question.
No, absolutely. So my clients actually have 5-6 accounts, and we name the accounts. So we name the account Derick's Fun Money, emergency fund money, don't touch. We have our bills. We have our short-term, fund money. We have our vacation account. We have our home repair account. And the reason why, Beth, that we do this is because when you want to go get some money for something that you didn't plan on, right? That shiny object that AJ's been talking about, and you don't have enough money in your fund money account, and you start looking at the emergency fund, or you start looking at the home repair account, you mentally know exactly what part of your life you're getting ready to mess up and become a failure on. So if you know you need a new roof, or you need a new window, or repairs at the door on the house, and you go grab that money, then you know you're getting ready to screw that up, and you're not going to be able to do both. But that was a great question, Beth. It's good to see you. Thanks for following.
Thank you, Derick. Now you have given so much of information, insight, and understanding for a lot of people, especially for the young people in their early 20s and in their early 30s. Now let's move on to a more sort of a learning from you, Derick, through your book. I have heard about this 401k, but not about the 24k book. So help us. Yeah, being in India, I've learned this process. We call it the PPF. That's the savings. That's the thing that you save for the future. So a lot of people keep their eyes on this 401k. In India, it's the PPF thing. But what is this 24k thing code?
I love it.
Help. And secondly, you have a podcast by that name.
So I do.
How can people learn?
I love it. No one's ever put it that way. I've heard about the 401k, but never the 24k. What's this special investment? Well, let me tell you, in all honesty, it is the best investment, especially the best first investment that anyone can ever make. So the concept of 24k and having a 24k life and a 24k life code is that we are supposed to understand that in order to get pure gold, it has to go through the fire. It has to be heated up so hot that the lead is gone, the nickel is gone, the iron is gone, the copper is gone. And like gold, if we look at our lives and say, okay, I have to be a great person mentally, financially, physically, relationships. And if I have all of these areas to balance, to be great at. How do I perform at that level, at a high level, on a regular basis? And so the book is all about it's not about what Derick Gant did. It's not. It's about what tools Derick Gant used and Derick Gant's clients have used, and his other, friends who some of our professional athletes and some of them are doctors. So what do all these people have in common, and what are the tools that they implement on themselves in order to continuously perform at a high level and not burn out? And so we cover every core pillar of life, from your health and fitness, a little bit of nutrition. We cover the money side, obviously pretty heavy because I'm the money guy. And so the book is about, how do you have money to put in your 401k? How do you have the proper foods to put in your body so that you can perform at a high level for a long time? So the book is a mass of tools, concepts, ideas. For instance, I told you about the young people putting money into an account if they were living at home, but putting that rent money into an account and just leaving it there and getting used to living off that set amount like a real adult. Well, there's a chapter in the book called Living As If. So we talk about living as if. So if you want a new car, go find out what the car is, what the payment is, what the new insurance is, and then compare it in your budget to where you are right now, and start saving that difference, just like I did with the kids, and seeing if that's something that will affect my lifestyle financially. If you want to be fit, then what do fit people eat? And I need to start eating that now, like I was one of those fit people. And if I continuously do that, I will be one of those fit people. And so that's just one concept inside the book. How can AJ be pure gold? AJ's pure gold, Derick's pure gold. I'm not trying to be AJ. I'm not trying to be Michael Jordan. I'm trying to be the best Derick possible. That's the 24K life, and that's the investment that everybody needs to make at a grassroots level.
Absolutely. So people have learned, can or will learn as much as they can in this 25-minute episode. For more, they will have to come and listen to your podcast, read your book, and also will connect with you if they want much more direct advice. So how can they do that? What is the best way to connect with you, Derick?
Well, the best way is just to go to DerickGant.com. My name's up on the board. It's spelled with one R, DerickGant.com, and everything that we talk about, access to our YouTube channel, the book. And we wrote the book because we can't talk to billions of people, but billions of people can grab a book and read it. So we want to get our concepts out there. Most of them aren't new. They're just consolidated into a blue collar consumption mode, so people can easily understand what they need to do. But thank you so much, AJ.
Wonderful. Thank you for this great insights and understanding of this whole thing about life mastery and also money mastery, especially when you are very young, when you want to control your life and not just master it. So better to self-master, to master your life and future. With this, It's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.